Here today with 5 tips that will help you instantly create better videos. So what's great about these is none of them are so complicated that a beginner can't do them, and they're not going to cost you a ton of money. All right, so here's a sneak peek of what I'm going to cover today. I'm going to cover lighting, sound and music, editing tips, adding motion, why that's important, and location. And then at the very end, I'm going to answer 2 questions from my audience. What do I do, or how do I create high quality video without spending a ton of money? And 2, I'm nervous. How do I calm myself down before I shoot that first video? I'm going to answer all that and more. And before we dive into the first tip, I just want to give you a quick intro for those of you who do not know who I am. I'm Kristen Poborsky. I'm a content creation expert. My team and I help our students and clients who are coaches, healers, and therapists dial in their content creation strategy and create content that helps them attract more customers and leads into their practice. So with further ado, let's talk about today's topic, which is 5 ways to help you instantly create better video content, okay? So the first thing is lighting. Lighting is so important. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten a video from a brand new client or a student and they're sitting there in the dark and I go, oh my God, you've got to start over. You got to get some light, and it doesn't even cost you a dime to sit in front of a window. I'm sitting in front of a window right now. For granted, it is a little bit darker today, so I had to turn on my ring light. But for the most part, if it's a sunny day or even just a lighter overcast day, I do not need additional lighting. I just use that window. So use natural light. There's nothing like natural light that's going to make you instantly look better on camera. So get out of the dark, get rid of those shadows, go sit in front of a window, or get a light ring in front of you and position it so that you have good light. You can experiment with the amount of light, the color that's going to make your skin and everything show up instantly without any shadows and so on and so forth, and you'll look better immediately, okay? Then the next thing is sound. Sound is so important. I've got a little lavalier. You can kind of see it hooked in here. I have a really cheap one, but it makes a big difference. Before I started my video batching today, I did a quick test, and then I realized I've got to get that in there. I also have like a big thing that I use if I'm sitting at a desk with a filter on it. That's great too. But for my most part, I just use a little lavalier. I pin it under whatever I'm wearing, and I'm good to go. And it makes a huge difference. And if you can use a background music or add music at the intro and the outro, that's great too. You can find free stock music over on YouTube when you're creating your videos there, or you can buy paid royalty-free video music as well. So music does help, but you just got to make sure that it doesn't overpower your audio, your voice. So when you're doing your editing, you want to make sure that you pay attention to the sound, okay? So get a lavalier or a microphone. They're not very expensive. And I've got a light ring. I've got that whole list that you can get for less than $60 down as a resource in the show notes. So you can grab that down there too. Next thing is video quality. This is super important. I have a lot of clients who'll send me a video and it's been shot on their computer and it looks terrible. So if you really want to use your computer, you need to make sure that you've got a newer computer. I've got a brand new iMac. It works great. But for the most part, I usually use my phone because it's way better quality. So use your phone. You already have one. It's free. Or if you have an old computer and you really want to do it, you can get a very cheap video cam for your computer. It makes a big difference, but I try to avoid using Zoom or Loom or anything like that. Now I use them for screen sharing and things like that. I use Loom, which is great for that because it comes up clear, but for shooting you as on the screen, I'd use your phone, okay? Definitely the phone over everything. That is the best tool that you can use to shoot your video content, okay? So that is super important. Next is location. A lot of people don't think about this. They think they can just go and sit down, and they sit in front of like a messy desk or a messy bookshelf. You notice I've got a bookshelf, but it's way in the back, and I've adjusted the light back there, and I've adjusted where I'm sitting so I'm not right in front of it. And hopefully it's dark enough that it's not getting your eye that's what you're looking at. I'm kind of staged it so that most of the focus is on me and not what's going on. So I've kind of moved myself away from it. Sometimes I'll go sit in front of a wall that's very, it just has like a painting on it over there that it's just very neutral. You do want to make sure that your background is on brand. And what I mean is it should relate to your business. It should be colored like your business if it can be, if it's appropriate. Otherwise, just keep it neutral. Neutral and clean, free of clutter, up to date, and just nice looking so that people aren't looking at it and going, oh, I don't like looking at that, because any little thing is going to get people clicking off and not watching your video. So if you've got a cluttery background, they can't possibly be paying attention to what you're saying. All right. So the next thing is using editing software. You definitely want to edit your software. I think it's very important. You need to learn to use it. I put captioning on mine. You want to make sure you clip out all those little pieces that people just don't need to see, okay? So you do want to use it. If you can use captioning on it, where you put words up there, that's great. Put a little thing below, who you are, call to actions, things like that. I use Canva. That is my tool. I create my graphics in a YouTube size format, and then I just put my content on there and I download it as a transparent file. So it works great. I use it with my editing software, and it's free and it's simple. Now, the only other thing that I think you need to have is really a good editing software. A lot of people use what comes with Apple. I found it to be too confusing, too time consuming. And I'm very techie, but it was too much. So I use ScreenFlow. ScreenFlow's great, super easy. I know it costs money. I've got the link to that down in the notes, but I highly recommend it if you want to do your own editing. Otherwise, go to Fiverr and find someone to edit for you, or Upwork. So those are my points. You need to edit, you need to have good quality video, use your phone, you want to have music, lighting, and make sure your location is on brand. So those are my tips. And if you need help creating content, grab a copy of the Profitable Content Creators Roadmap. It's down in the link. I show you exactly the steps you need to take to create content that will help attract more leads and clients into your coaching practice. So let's talk about question number 1. How do I create high quality video without spending a ton of money? Well, I used to go through all this rigmarole and have a huge studio set up in here, and I'd have to take it up and down. I had all kinds of lighting that I spent lots of money, and it was just a real headache every time. And I was one thing that I would just use it as an excuse not to create video. Well, now I have no excuse because I have a simple light ring, I have a lavalier, and sometimes I use a tripod. It just depends on where I want to sit. But I've paid less than $60 for those. I've got them all linked up below. I bought them on Amazon. There is no excuse. You just need that. You need light. Simple as can be. You're good to go. So you just don't need a fancy, a stage. Those days are gone. You don't need that. Everything's gotten simpler. So grab that list. It's down below. And number 2, the question is, and I get this a lot from my students and clients, I am so nervous before I go on video. How do I calm myself down? Well, let's talk about how to calm yourself down. And then I'm going to actually add in another tip that I forgot to to cover up above. So stay tuned for that final tip on how to instantly create better videos, because I'll go into that after this question, after I answer this question. And so what I always say is practice. So practice, batch out your content. By the time you get to your 3rd or 4th, you're going to be way more calm. And, you want to do like a test and also be okay with imperfection. The other thing is have a script, but don't use it. I mean, use it as a guide, but don't read your script. It's sort of like you think of your script as a, just an instant, like a safety thing. Like you have it there, it's just there, right? And know your subject. So if you know your subject, you got to know what you're going to say. You have an outline, you practice a little bit, and you've been doing this for a while. You're going to be a lot more calm about doing it. And then just do it. Just sit down and do it. The more you think about it, you're going to come up with reasons not to do it. But the moment you sit down and just say, I'm going to do this, you instantly get calmer. Okay. And last but not least, I have one more bonus tip for you, and that is adding motion into your video. So one of the things I tell my students, and I used to do this too, I used to sit in front of a desk and film myself in front of a desk, and I was stiff. I was really, really stiff. So what I do say now is get out from behind the desk. Use motion, whether or not you're sitting in a chair or you're standing up. Sit on the edge of your seat. I always sit on the edge of my seat because it helps my posture, but I'm also more likely to move around. And that does make your video more interesting, is if you're moving around or you have B-roll that's in there. So B-roll is like, oh, you're talking about something and you go to another shot and you're showing them something else. If you do that, it instantly breaks up your video and adds the element of motion. But you could also be standing up, right? So if you start standing up and moving around, that also is interesting to people. Why do you think those TikTok videos, Instagram, where they're pointing and all of that? That's because it makes it that much more interesting because there's motion going around. So if you're a hand talker like I am, sit back a little bit further, use your hands, move around. Don't sit stiff as a board. Okay. So there you go. That is my final tip for today. Bonus tip. I hope you've enjoyed today's content. Be sure to leave a comment, ask a question, subscribe. Don't forget to grab your copy of the Profitable Content Creators Roadmap, the video equipment guides down there. And last but not least, I teach a free beta test, which is the Content 12X, where I teach you how to create content and turn it into 12 or more pieces of content from a single piece of content in my upcoming free beta course. So there's a link below. Get on the waiting list and we'll be excited to have you come join us. There's been thousands of students in this program that I've been able to help create content and get it out there on social media so that they can build their audience. So have a great day, and don't forget to leave a comment and ask me a question. You never know, I might be answering your question on one of my upcoming episodes. Have a great day.